In 1979, a young private pilot named Frederick Valentich rented a plane at Moorabbin Airport in Melbourne to fly it out to King Island. The trip was said to be around 560 kilometers, about a 3.5-hour flight. His flight went on as usual. It was after sunset that Frederick made a radio call to report an unfamiliar object flying near him. The man on the other line said there was no traffic known in his location. Frederick described the object as being shiny on the outside and having a green light. A few moments later, Frederick reported engine trouble. He stated that the object is hovering on top of him and that it is not an aircraft. After that, he stopped responding. As you may guess, Frederick never landed and he was never seen or heard from again. Many believe that this is the case of an alien abduction and that what he reported on the radio was an UFO. Frederick was only 20 years old and he was a member of the Air Training Corps. By all accounts, he was a happy person pursuing his career. However, it is known that Frederick lied about why he was going to King Island. He said that he would be picking up passengers, but there were no passengers to be picked up. He told his girlfriend he would be back at 7:30 p.m., which was clearly impossible given the time of his flight. He was also known for getting in trouble at least 3 times among the Air Corps due to his behavior. No one knows for sure what intentions Frederick had on King Island. The radio transmission still exists, but was never released to the public.
It's shiny on the outside. It's just vanished. That strange aircraft hovering on top of me again. It's hovering and it's not an aircraft.
In 2013, 26 years old Brandon Lawson had gotten in an argument with his law wife Ludessa, which led him to leave his house at around 11:45 p.m. Like most arguments between a couple, it is normal for someone to take some time off and calm down and then come back and continue their conversation. About 50 minutes later, Brandon called his brother Kyle to inform him that he ran out of gas. What is known is that following his phone call to his brother Kyle, something happened and Brandon phoned 911 and advised the dispatcher that he was in a field and needed help and that he needed a cop. The dispatcher heard Brandon say,
I ran into somebody. Someone's chasing me to the woods.
Another call was made to 911 by a passerby regarding Brandon's truck parked crooked on the side of the road, posing a hazard. Kyle then called Brandon to find out where he was located, but the signal was bad and the call kept getting interrupted. However, Kyle did make out something Brandon said.
I'm 10 minutes away. Hurry up and get here. I'm bleeding.
By the time Kyle had arrived, Brandon was nowhere to be found. A sheriff deputy was there and he informed Kyle about the call regarding Brandon's truck. However, he didn't mention the previous 911 call that Brandon made. The deputy calls a tow truck to have the vehicle removed from the scene and then leaves searching for Brandon. Kyle and his girlfriend Audrey went up the road searching when Audrey received a call from Brandon where he informs her that he's bleeding before the signal was lost again. It wasn't known by Brandon's family that he called 911 until Brandon's law wife Ludessa saw on the itemized cell phone transactions provided by law enforcement that a 911 call was made. There has also been controversy regarding this case. Many say that the police did little to help find Brandon. Although different search teams were sent to look for him, Brandon had disappeared without a single trace. His family never stopped looking for him, but the searching ceased as no results came up. There are many theories online, some of which say he ran into a cult, others say he got chased by an animal, and others regarding drug abuse. So what do you think? On February 6, 1996, 10 years old Zach Ramsay departed from his apartment to school at about 7:34 a.m., taking his usual school route through an alleyway. He was wearing a blue denim jacket with green sleeves, a blue football jersey with his last name imprinted on the back in gold letters, stonewashed jeans, and black high-top sneakers. A family of 3 who lived in an apartment in the alleyway reported seeing Zach in the alleyway that morning and also reported seeing an off-white 4-door car nearly run him over. Another witness reported seeing Zach standing in the alleyway and then he appeared to be waiting for someone. Yet another witness, who lived near the end of the alleyway, reported seeing Zach distressed with an obese adult male following him a few feet behind him. It was that day that Zach Ramsay disappeared. He has never been seen or heard from ever since. A witness reported seeing Nathaniel Barjona, a convicted child molester, serial killer, and cannibal, standing beside a dumpster in the alleyway at 7:15 a.m. While taking out the trash, he was wearing a navy blue police-like jacket. The same witness also reported seeing Zach Ramsay enter the alleyway and that Barjona was still standing beside the dumpster. Barjona has been previously charged with stalking children while impersonating police officers. Police investigations conducted years after Zach Ramsay went missing determined that Barjona had access to his mother's off-white, 4-door 1978 Toyota Corolla the day Zach Ramsay disappeared, and that his mother and brother were out of town for a funeral. It was moreover determined that Barjona did not work on that day, nor in the days immediately preceding. While searching Barjona's apartment, detectives found a list of boys' names which included previous victims and a Zachary Ramsay, followed by the word died. Furthermore, dozens of newspaper clippings were found in Barjona's apartment following the Zach Ramsay case. A former roommate of Barjona described finding clothes in his apartment which appeared to match those Zach Ramsay was wearing the day he disappeared, in addition to bloody gloves. Another roommate and others claimed that Barjona sometimes spontaneously brought the boy up in conversations. Investigators also found notebooks with seemingly arbitrary characters which were believed to be coded writing. With the help of the FBI and after months of effort, the writing was decoded. In the notebooks, Barjona described torturing and eating children. There were also macabre recipes involving children's body parts. Despite the objections of the boy's mother, a judge declared Zach Ramsay legally died in 2011. However, his body was never found, and Barjona was sentenced to life in prison. In 1999, 69-year-old Carl Landers was on a hiking trip with two of his friends on Mount Shasta at a location on the mountain called 50-50 below Lake Helen. The three men were planning to arrive to Lake Helen all at once, but Carl complained to his friends of feeling poorly, so he decided to leave the 50-50 location without his friends to get a head start towards the Lake Helen. His friends never caught up to him. Carl Landers had simply vanished off of the face of the earth. After his friends hadn't found a single trace of him, they reported him missing. The sheriff's department was called in and they conducted a search team consisting of helicopters, search dogs, and volunteers on skis and on foot. There was not a single trace left of Carl. No clothing, no backpack, and no equipment. His two friends described him as being an experienced hiker and in good shape, so they had no doubts that Carl would have gotten in some sort of accident. But even so, they would have been able to find him. After searching every possible spot, the investigation ceased. Cases like this have occurred on multiple occasions in forest areas. People simply vanishing without any trace left. What is the cause of all these disappearances? It is likely that we'll never find out. On March 10, 1928, 9-year-old Walter Collins went missing after his mother gave him money to go to the cinema. His disappearance gained the attention of the public and searches were made, but with no results whatsoever. 5 months later, Walter's mother Christine is informed by the police that his son was found and that she was to go and pick him up. Christine was as happy as she could be, but when she arrived to the reunion place, she made a shocking realization. The boy who claimed to be Walter was not her son. She kept insisting that the boy was an imposter, but the police refused to believe her. They convinced her to take the boy home and try him out for a few days, as she might still be in shock, and that having gone missing for 5 months could alter the boy's appearance. Christine agreed, but after convincing herself once again that the boy was not her son, she returned to the police armed with dental records to prove that this child was an imposter and not her son Walter. The police refused to believe her and claimed that Christine was either trying to run away from her responsibilities as a mother or had gone crazy. Captain Jones, who was in charge of the boy's case, had Christine committed to the Los Angeles County Hospital psychiatric ward, fearing she might put a bad reputation on the police department with her false accusations. Christine stayed in there for 5 days. Meanwhile, the imposter was questioned and he admitted that he was not Walter Collins. The boy was actually 11 years old runaway Arthur J. Hutchins. He had turned himself into the police after several people pointed out how much he looked like the missing boy. After he admitted his lie, he was sent back to his family in Iowa and then sent to the Iowa Training School for Boys. This whole case is related to the Wineville Chicken Coop murders, where a series of abductions and murders of young children was committed by Gordon Stewart Northcott. Trial testimony showed that Walter Collins had been sexually molested for days by Gordon Northcott and then murdered by his mother Sarah. The facts of this case are that Walter Collins was murdered while he slept in the chicken coops at Wineville. Not only was the testimony accurate and provable, partial body parts and bits of clothing that Walter had worn were discovered in the exact located grave at the Wineville chicken coops. The state of California concluded that Walter Collins was dead. Testimony indicated that Walter's body, along with other victims, were pulled from their graves at Wineville and taken out into the desert night and burned to ashes by both Gordon Northcott and his mother in a successful attempt to eliminate the bodies. Sarah Northcott was convicted after she confessed to have abducted and murdered Walter Collins, while his son Gordon was sentenced to death by hanging. While the state claimed that Walter was officially dead, his mother refused to give up hope that Walter had survived because his body was never really found. Sadly, Christine never found her son, but she continued to believe that his son was still out there. It really shows that hope is everything when it's the only thing you have left.